Delhi Capitals. Interesting business before the trade retention date was announced, where Shardul Thakur has been traded to KKR. That is just the big news. The other than that, I think we can understand some of the others: Seifert, Mandeep Singh, KS Bharat, Ashwin Hebar. But Thakur at 1075 release. Now, you look at that team, it's an interesting one, Wasim, in terms of what the role for Shardul Thakur was last year. He started as an opening bowler and didn't always bowl his full quota of four. Yet, this is a team which was moving around Lalit Yadav and Sarfaraz Khan, trying to identify that one Indian batter. Now, with Shardul's absence, do they already have those bases covered with Kamlesh Nagarkoti or Chetan Sakaria? Or essentially, are they looking for, they need to find some key Indian players? And there are not a lot of options in terms of Indian players in this auction. Thoughts on Shardul's release?
Well, I think, he'll probably do the job which he was doing at CSK. Probably that will suit him at KKR because he was bowling with the new ball and that's not his preferred place. He was somebody who bowled 1 over in the power play and then middle overs and in the death. MS Dhoni used him really well at CSK. And he was doing a totally different role at DC. So he'll probably do a similar kind of role, probably expecting at KKR. But yeah, I mean, Delhi need to strengthen that department. They need that all-rounders or somebody who bowls well because they missed Anrik Nokia. Anrik Nokia wasn't the best, last season. So they need that department filled with the new ball. Other than that, I feel they are pretty, balanced side, Delhi Capitals.
Okay, if you look at that squad that they do have in Shardul's absence, Robin, I wonder if you can sort of pick their 4 overseas and they're sorted because you got Warner, you got Mitchell Marsh. I'm assuming Anrik Nokia will be your first choice overseas seamer. Now, you either go, if you're playing Rovman Powell, that lets you play only one overseas seamer. So Ngidi and Mustafizur are essentially reserve seamers. Or are you saying no, Rovman Powell is not a certainty, in which case you can play 2 overseas seamers, but there's a middle order that's slightly questionable there because you'll have Warner, Prithvi Shaw, Mitchell Marsh, Rishabh Pant. After that is where the problems began for Delhi last year, where Lalit Yadav wasn't quite nailing that number 5 spot. Akshar Patel was probably batting one position too high. It's a tough area to fill, 5, 6, 7, especially if you need Indians. And it does look like Delhi will have to get an Indian looking at the overseas guys that already walk into this team.
Don't count out Yash Dul. Yash Dul has performed exceptionally well in domestic cricket this year. And I think he's a youngster to watch out for. He is exceptionally talented, and I think he's someone who's going to do really well for Delhi, and he's grown a lot in confidence. So I think he'll fit into that middle order there somewhere, or the top order there somewhere. But after that, I feel Rovman Powell will probably be the initial option because he brings in that kind of firepower that Andre Russell does, not with the ball, but definitely with the bat. So they like Rovman Powell there. So I definitely think that they will stick with Rovman Powell there. And then in case, they want to, the other backup openers, backup fast bowlers, Mustafizur and Lungi Ngidi, if they want to change up with Anrik Nokia or give him a break, they might use him there. So they have a pretty decent Indian fast bowling lineup as well. They have Chetan Sakaria there. If I'm not wrong, I saw somebody else, a couple of other decent fast bowlers.
Nagarkoti is there, Sakaria is there, Khalil had a really good, Khalil had a great season.
And Khalil's bowled pretty well this year as well. For them, and they depend a little bit on Lalit Yadav to play that Indian finisher's role there for them. So Ripal Patel and Lalit Yadav are those blokes that they look at in that lower middle order. So I think that's what the first 12, 13 will entail, and then I think they'll just mix it around with that.
I feel that Sarfaraz Khan. I mean, we talked about David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, and then Mitchell Marsh and Pant. But probably Sarfaraz Khan, they could probably play him at 3. And then Mitchell Marsh and Rishabh Pant can bat at 4 and 5. And they have to fix that number 6 spot because then you've got Akshar Patel at 7. And then you are sorted after that, But that's the number 6 spot. If you are not playing Rovman Powell, then that's the spot you need to fill. So I feel Sarfaraz Khan, they need to promote a little bit. I feel he's a pretty damn good player at number 3. He's wasted when he's batting at 5 and 6. I don't think he possesses the same power for a finisher. But at number 3, he can do a job, and with Rishabh Pant and Mitchell Marsh, they can probably do a better job at 4 and 5.
Okay, but Wasim bhai, a question from me. Do you think Rishabh Pant will be successful at number 4 and 5 in T20 cricket?
I mean, he hasn't been consistent for sure, but that's where he needs to play because he's not opening for India. So he needs to get better. That is the spot he'll play. I mean, ideally, I would play him at 1, 2, 3, but that spot is not empty. So he needs to get better batting at number 5.